public comment before we start?
Any emails?
Okay. We'll move on to the consent agenda items. First is going to be the minutes of the regular meeting of the Board of Directors held on May 7th of 2025. Also, departmental reports for the Board of Public Utilities, operation reports, and financial statements for April of 2025. The bills and accounts for period ending May 31st of 2025. And also the MERS defined benefit pension plan statement for the quarter ending March 31st of 2025. Is there any questions on any of those items? Seeing none, we need a motion.
Motion. Support.
Got a motion to support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, motion is passed. Next is going to be a new hire, Devin Hawkins. You here?
Yes, thank you, President Stevens. Good evening, members of the board. For the summer, we brought on Devin Hawkins on our GIS department. Devin, care to explain about yourself?
Hello, everybody of the board. It's nice to meet you all today. My name is Devin Hawkins, and I'm the summer GIS intern for the Coldwater Board of Public Utilities. I am a student at the University of Alabama. I know, far drive, but here I am now. I plan to use this experience to build my knowledge of GIS, and I'm working on a project right now with Audrey with economic development for building a website that lets developers see land in the city where they could develop. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to have you on for the summer.
Thank you.
Next, we'll move on to the regular agenda. First is going to be an OJ presentation by McKenna Bowerman.
Good afternoon, members of the board. Thank you for this time to explain my OJT experience to you all. I just want to say thank you for being so flexible and rescheduling this presentation, because last board meeting when all the other OJT students were presenting, I had a soccer game, so thank you. Let's move on to a little bit of an introduction of myself. My name is McKenna Bowerman. I am a 2025 graduate of Quincy High School and the Branch Area Career Center. At BACC, my program was CAD/CAM Engineering and Architecture, where I just worked on CAD drawings, on 3D drawings and 2D drawings there. My OJT placement is at the Coldwater Board of Public Utilities in the engineering department. The duration of my time here was from mid-August of last year to May of this year, but I'm continuing on into a summer internship here. My main objectives for this internship was to use the knowledge I gained in my classroom at BACC and turn it into a more professional kind of scenario. I also wanted to work on my collaborative skills and communication here. Some of my responsibilities and tasks include creating a vegetation management map to show locations for spraying herbicide around town, like the Four Corners, dog parks, etc., just to give a clear image of where they were spraying and send them over drawings. I also created a substation signage map using ArcGIS field maps for updating where signage needed to be, whether they were faded, missing, or they were damaged. I also updated some parcel splits and combos. I did permits and all kinds of stuff. Just if they needed me to do it, I was happy to do anything that they asked me to do. Now, on the engineering side of things, I would perform rate reviews for industrial and residential customers. This would help to determine how the company would need to optimize their electric usage. I also reported all electrical outages into eReliability. This was our outage data collection app. I created a presentation at the end of the year to show the data that I collected to the staff. just to show where our problem circuits were, what our main outage reasons were, whether they were vegetation, animals, or struck by like vehicle accidents. Some of the team that I worked with was very welcoming. They wanted me to ask questions. They wanted me to ask for help. They were very collaborative, very open-minded. Any new suggestions or new ideas that I had as an incoming person who'd never heard of or really experienced anything in the electrical world, like substations. I've never been in a substation before. So any new suggestions that I had that could help with their department, they were open to, even if it was a little silly at sometimes. And also, they were a bunch of nerds, and I was glad that they accepted me. And to be honest, at the beginning of this experience, I was a little nervous to come in, especially being the only woman in the office and being the first woman in the department in general. But they were, I quickly learned and realized that they were just as afraid of me as I was of them. Um, they were a very fun group to be around, and they just made this experience very great. Some of my growth, and as I reflect on this experience, I really improved my time management and task prioritization as I was given tasks and I needed to figure out a way to get all these things done in a short amount of time. I also strengthened my professional confidence. I knew how to present myself in front of my peers, and anything I needed help on, I would ask. I navigated unfamiliar software and I took initiative to take this role on. Any unfamiliarity I had, I felt comfortable to ask questions again. Some more skills and knowledge that I learned was understanding substation layout and function of components like buses, circuit breakers, transformers, etc. I developed an understanding of electrical safety protocols. Rest in peace, Harold. Miss you. Learning minimum approach distance for whether it be 13.8 kV or 138 kV. I learned a clear understanding of transmission, distribution, and generation systems. I had a little bit of an understanding in chemistry and learning what they were, but it really solidified what I knew. I learned many different platforms and online maps in a quick amount of time. I really took initiative to learn these and really gain a broader understanding of how it is to work in a professional setting. I learned very quickly that the city of Coldwater is very interconnected. They care about their people, they care about the community. Some of the volunteering opportunities I participated in was the blood drive and Earth Day. For the blood drive, I checked in donors, I directed them to the waiting area, I showed them where they needed snacks if they felt a little bit lightheaded. I would chat with them for a little bit, just made them feel more comfortable before they were giving blood. My future goals and next steps, I plan on obtaining a Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering at Western Michigan University. After college, I plan to start a career in the generation and distribution field. During my time at Western, I plan to involve myself in a numerous amount of clubs. Some of the ones I'm very excited about are Engineers Without Borders. They're an international or local. They have two sectors that you can do, but in the international side of it, they're actually implementing and designing 18 latrines in Nicaragua, which I thought was very exciting. Another one is Take the Lead. Its LEAD stands for Leadership and Leadership and Energy and Environmental Design. They're a group of people that study together, network together with other professionals. They study for the lead exam and get a certification if you pass. I also plan on being involved in the solar car project and the Bronco Wind team. I just want to say a big thank you to my mentors and team for their guidance support throughout my whole experience. They made this experience very valuable for myself. I learned a lot of things about myself, and I learned a lot of things about the community of Coldwater that I didn't know. I really didn't know how to get around Coldwater before, but being on the road a lot, going to different substations, definitely know how to get around now. So I just want to say thank you to Andrew, Dean, Jesse, and Brian for this experience.
Any questions for McKenna? Well, thanks for being OJT student, and thanks for staying on for the summer internship.
Thank you.
Glad to have you on it. Next is Public Act 95. I will turn this over to the Utility Director.
Thank you, President Stevens, members of the board. If you remember, Public Act 95 or PA 95 went into law in 2013 as a funding mechanism for low-income energy assistance to customers. The state imposed a surcharge or up to $1 surcharge to all customers to be able to draw from that, and they expected utilities to pay for that or for it to be charged to the customers. In 2024, the state legislators decided that we needed to change that policy a little bit. So they went ahead and upped it to up to $2 a meter at 25-cent increments. This year, they set it at $1.25 per meter. That equates to roughly $112,000, a little over $112,000 if we were to opt into the program to charge all of our customers at $1.25 per month per meter. So one of the things, what we looked at with this is the new way that they wrote this up is this all goes into a pot of money that the state takes care of. And if we don't use that entire pot of money, that $112,000, it stays with the state and they distribute it where they need to. That could be in Detroit, that could be in Grand Rapids, or anywhere within the state of Michigan is the way that they have that set up. The new legislation also still allows us to opt out as a municipality. One of the things that we have to do is we have to show that the funds are available. So we have to show there's about $100,000 in our budget for this. The utility would have to have a plan in place to how we would provide assistance to eligible customers. We would also have to provide information about the program to all of our customers, basically through social media, emails, bill stuffers, those type of things to let our customers know that those programs are out there, which we currently do, even though we do opt out of the program anyways. We must complete annual reports to the PSC, which is pretty much standard for everything we do nowadays. One of the biggest changes is that the utility now has the ability to disconnect all services without any blackout dates. If you remember last year when we started talking about PA 95, if we opted out, we were now unable to disconnect electric customers from November to April. That no longer exists if we opt out of the program because we're basically implementing our own type of program. By July 1st of this year, or July 1st of any year, we have to let the PSC know if we're opting in or opting out of the program and let them know so that we can figure out how this all works. We've been opting out of the program since its inception. Last year, our net write-offs were $31,000. Through April of this year, it's $25,000. So it would be our recommendation to opt out of the PA 95 again. We have been working with a local charity to be able to handle that process of being able to help our residents. We would still work with the state because some of the changes in the rules change how the allocation is done or the percentages for qualification of low income is done. So we still have the state handle that, and then they would go ahead and pass that on to a third party who would basically administer the money for us. We felt this would be the easiest way to do it so that we're not having to deal with the customers, figuring out, are they low income, are they not low income, and also distributing the money. So like I said, if you look at this, we're going to put, I think 112,000, what we put in the budget was $112,000, a line item on the budget that said it is for low income assistance, and we'll go through and do it. Based on these numbers, we would be putting about $90,000, about $80,000 or so into the state coffers for other utilities to be able to use this. One of the things, as we've all heard with the LIHEAP and the MyHeap money that is disappearing from the federal government. I know the governor right now is trying to figure out how they can offset some of that money from the state. If they can't, there's just less money out there. The one thing that this program, that PA 95 has always done though, is it allows for assistance with heating as well too. So any gas customer that is a customer of BPU would also be eligible for assistance through this program. It's not they get their entire bill paid. There's a small amount of money that's allocated for each customer going forward that way. As we get closer to this, we will be having a presentation at a board meeting for your knowledge as well as for public's knowledge of how we're going to implement this program moving forward. But with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have or just asking for approval to opt out of the PA 95 for the FY 25-26 plan year.
Is this for public utilities and private?
This is for all utilities within
Like
the
in the
state,
state.
IOUs, munis and co-ops as well too.
Okay.
So every utility in the past, it was exempt for munis to be able to opt in or opt out. They took away that exemption, so all utilities have to do one or the other. And as you can see, it's probably cheapest for some of the larger ones to opt in because they're capped at what they have to put into it, but it's not capped at what you can pull out of it. And for whatever reason, the gas utilities are exempt from having to put any money into it. Figure that one out.
Don't want to shut the power off in the middle of the winter, but we'll shut the heat off, the gas off.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
But like I said, now we would be able to shut off electricity and now we'll be able to shut off water and internet. But now we've been able to do that for electricity as well too. And one of the things you'll hear later on in the fall is what that policy is going to be. We're not going to shut Sunwing off when it's 0 degrees outside. There's going to be criteria that we have to meet. We're looking at something over a 24-hour period. If that's 32 degrees or 38 degrees, wherever that falls in at the nearest reporting station is kind of how we're looking at it to make sure that we're not below that freezing mark.
Question.
Need a motion,
I'll make a motion to opt out of Public Act 95.
Support.
a motion of support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay.
Thank you.
Motion is passed. Next on the agenda is going to be the utility truck number 16 replacement. Brian Massey.
Good afternoon, President Stevens, members of the board. Before I have the request for utility truck number 16 to be replaced, we've got that budgeted for 25-26. It's a 2016 F-350, 45,000 miles, scheduled for replacement. We've quoted the truck through Cold Ford and the service body through Knapheide Truck Equipment. The budget amount was 90,000 and the total cost has been quoted at 85,164. Unless any other department needs the truck, it'll be sold. And we would recommend the approval to purchase this truck.
We have an idea what the truck could sell for?
It's a diesel. I've 25,000. I could see it bringing, it's only, 9 years old. So low miles, high hours. I mean, it sits on every job site all day long. So
Ah, okay.
I think somebody will pick it up for sure.
Any other questions for Brian? What is the desire of the board?
I make a motion to approve.
Okay, we got a motion,
Support.
motion and support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion's passed. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is going to be the wastewater expansion project, phase 1. I almost skipped this one, John, and so let's go back to the end.
It's starting to be a habit. Every month I'm up here in front of you. So, good evening, everybody. So the Coldwater Board of Public Utilities Water Resource Recovery Facility needs some improvements and some expansion part of it. So we broke it down into 2 phases. Phase 1 that we can handle ourselves with some help of engineering, and then phase 2 is the major expansion. So tonight I'm going to talk about phase 1. So just a little back history real quick. We hired Donahue and Associates to do the design contract back in July of 24. Last month I was in here, we awarded same company, Donahue and Associates, to manage the construction phase, to do the constructive related services for us. So in phase one, we are looking to replace our Ultratech UV system with a new upgraded version and replace most of our ferric chloride system, storage tanks, 2 8,000-gallon tanks, 2 new discharge points of ferric chloride so we can manage a little bit better throughout the plant, plus a brand new pump. So the bids for the project were sent out April 3rd of this year. We had pre-bid meeting was held on April 15th, and on May 6th, we opened up the sealed bids that we received. We received 2 bids for this phase one project. One of them was Adelaide Mechanical out of Kalamazoo, Michigan. Cost of their project was $2,635,000. The second one we opened was R. Yoder Construction out of Napanee, Indiana. That was for $2,519,230,000 or $30. Donahue and Associates, and if anybody has any questions, I have Trent here from Donahue, so we can get him up here if need. But we had them review the bids for accuracy, correctness, and checked on references of both companies. Their recommendation is for us to award phase one upgrade to R. Yoder Construction of Napanee at the above cost. So I'm here today. My recommendation is to go with R. Yoder Construction for phase one. So.
What is phase one? Just so the public can know.
So we broke up this whole design at the waste plant into 2 designs. Phase one is just a replacement of some old equipment that just has overstayed its life expectancy. Phase 2, that's where we're going to start looking into an expansion of some type. That we've been up on a couple tours here lately. There's more questions now than we had before. We don't know. So phase one's the easy one.
Okay.
So
So the easy answer that John danced around is replace UV lights and to replace the ferric chloride system.
This coming out of our cash balance and wastewater?
This is budgeted for the year, so it's coming out of cash balances, not anything we're bonding for. So it's
Right.
all a budgeted item
Yeah.
in this year's budget.
And phase 2, was that? what
Phase
year?
2 will be a bond.
Right.
Because of the amount, and we're hoping, I think Trent keeps telling me by the end of this year, we'll have an idea of how much we're gonna have to bond out for.
Okay.
And then looking at beginning of next year to do the bonding and moving forward from there.
So when you say there's more questions about phase 2, does that mean it's gonna cost more than we thought? Because you
no, that's what, how to expand the plant for sure. We have that equalization base in there. It's just a holding tank. Do we convert that over to a all-in-one treatment process? Or do we expand the old plant somehow by adding more tanks, more filters? That's a good question. We're not 100% sure.
Gotcha.
We went down to Ohio, 2 visits down there yesterday and looked at a all-in-one process. Like I said, I was riding home with Brian. I think there was more questions that we had in our car. So, and we had, Trent showed up early. We had a little meeting just real quick and we voiced our concerns, our thoughts. So it's interesting. So
When would phase 1 start? And when would it finish? What's the timeline on that?
So.
So the pre-construction meeting, assuming everything gets awarded tonight, is scheduled for next week. And then I believe it's 365 days to complete the first milestone, and then I think another 60 days on top of that to complete the final milestone. So we're talking that August of next year is final completion. Most likely, I would anticipate that on-site work probably doesn't start until December or January of next year to account for equipment deliveries, shop drawing approvals, things of that nature.
Will our customers see any disruption during this process?
No, customers should not see any disruptions during the process.
Good.
Any other questions for either one?
So we did jumped ahead a little bit and regulatory with Eagle, state of Michigan. We've already applied for a Part 41 construction permit. So that has been approved?
We are still waiting approval for that. We've been replying to Eagle's questions. We sent our latest responses earlier this week. I tried to call them on my way over actually today, not getting a response yet.
So it's not really changing the process. We're just replacing old equipment. So.
Any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve phase one.
Okay,
Now second.
got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Motion is passed.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. Next on the agenda is going to be the Bennett Street Substation 5-year inspection and preventative maintenance. Andrew Cameron.
Thank you again, President Stevens. Good evening, members of the board. Here today to be discussing the Bennett Substation 5-year inspection and preventative maintenance. This is to ensure quality, health, and operation of our electrical assets at the facility. So this would include all of the major items, the transformers, the LTCs, the breakers, battery systems, relays, the whole works. This would then, the contractor would then provide an executive summary of action items, found conditions, and then list of recommendations to follow up upon to again improve that reliability of the station. So a little history on Bennett. This was the original electrical substation for the entire town, constructed in 1934. It's overgone a couple of renovations over its life, mainly in the 60s and then the early 2000s. And a lot of the drawings we have are still from that era. The substation also serves roughly 4,000 customers. We're right around half of our electrical customer base. It's also the only substation on our system that has multiple voltages. It has the new 13.8 nominal voltage, as well as the legacy 8320, which introduces a couple of different operational challenges, as well as scheduling outages on equipment to safely perform work, which I'll talk a little bit later on. So the last time work was performed of this magnitude at the substation was back in 2018. We prefer to do these on a 5-year cycle to ensure proper operation as well as meet any regulatory compliance. The work was delayed a couple of years due to COVID and pushing some other substations in the stack. So we're trying to get back on a more regular cadence with that now. So Nikki, if you could please go to the bid tab page. We solicited bids from 6 different contractors and received back from 3, which would include Utility Instrumentation Services, or UIS, Turner Electrical Services, Systems, excuse me, and then finally Electrical Power Systems, or EPS. EPS was the low bidder of $68,800. However, in their proposal, they did not include any overtime labor and any work that would need to be done in addition to the 40 hours that they provided would be at an additional time and material rate. And again, going back to the complexity of the substation, we're expecting overtime at this facility. When we did this back in 2018, we ended up doing 6 10s. So we're expecting additional costs for their base rate of 68.8 thousand. So with that in mind, Turner Electrical Services was the next lowest bidder at $69,975 dollars. And they did include overtime in their expectations in their proposal. I will note that this is a cost of $1,175 higher than EPS. However, we think this will produce savings in the long term, avoiding those additional overtime hours that would be paid to EPS. We've performed work with Turner in the past. They've recently done work at our Garfield and Jonesville substations of the same magnitude for those facilities, and have had a good working relationship with their team. So with that in mind, staff recommends awarding the Bennett Substation inspection and preventative maintenance work to Turner Electrical Services for a price of $69,975. We'll note the work is scheduled to begin fall of this year if you folks approve. So with that, we'd be happy to answer any questions you folks may have.
I don't think we have any questions. This is the desire of the board.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll support.
Motion support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion's passed.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Andrew. What we're all waiting for right here. Aspen Smart Networks dedicated internet access proposal. Turn over to Utility Director.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I was really hoping that you guys would ask a lot of questions of everyone else. You'd be tired of talking, and we can go through this quickly and not have a whole lot of questions. But so anyways, let's go over a little bit about the redundant loop. I know we talked a little bit about it just to make sure everyone's understanding of how our fiber system is set up. So we have two loops coming into the system, two different fiber feeds, one coming from the north that goes up to Battle Creek and then goes west to our primary hub in Climax. And then we also have a western loop that goes through Berrien County and then northeast up to the same hub in Climax. So it works as a loop. One part of the loop gets cut, it automatically has a failover, switches over to the other side. So during the severe weather that hit on May 15th, the primary feed got affected by the tornadoes that went through Battle Creek. 6 poles, consumer energy poles, were taken out by the tornado. Those poles actually house some of the fiber, and that hindered restoration of the fiber because consumers would not turn over the poles to the fiber contractor until all their lines were back up, the poles were back up, and they were given the all clear, which didn't happen until Monday. On May 16th, our secondary feed got hit by the storms that came through that southern area as well and knocked out the secondary feed. So that put us out of any type of internet service around 11:30 p.m. on the evening of the 15th or the beginning or the 16th and the 17th. So that started on that Saturday morning was when we first noticed that we had no more internet service. Restoration services took place on May 19th, which was that Monday at 9:30-ish. In that time frame is when the internet came back. And what we did find out too is that was actually the primary feed coming back up. The secondary feed came back a few hours later after they finished the repairs on the secondary feed. During this time, as you probably are well aware, staff started looking at what can we do to fix this problem? What can we do for an emergency repair? What can we do for the future to make sure that if anything like this happens again, we are left with something. Similar to on the electric side where we got that third transmission feed coming in, we started looking at what do we want to do from a telecom perspective as well. So we started looking out there. Of course, we work with Aspen Smart Networks. They're one of the ones who monitor our network as well too. And they've been giving us proposals as well to be able to get a third feed or an additional feed coming back in. So working with Aspen, they were able to give us an emergency contract, which we had talked about individually. And we went ahead and signed the contract with them to get everything all set up, ready to go ahead and hook that feed up. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however you wanted to look at it, our primary and secondary feed came back. And the secondary feed or the third feed coming from Aspen is ready to go. It's just a matter of having to schedule a short outage. So what I'm asking for today is the official approval to sign a 3-year contract with Aspen Smart Networks for a 20 gigabit circuit, which is run off a different path than what our primary and secondary circuit are set up right now. One of the things that we're going to continue to look at in the future is knowing that it takes 30 to 60 days to get a circuit hooked up because of the programming and splicing that is required. We're going to look at an additional circuit and look at, do we really want to continue with MetroNet, which is who we have right now in the circular path, or go with another supplier off a different path of fibers as well too? Do we go north to get up to 95 and then we can split east or west? Do we go straight east to somewhere and then come back around and loop the state that way? That's the next round of what we're looking at for redundancy to make sure that whatever happens on this primary path, once we get to Aspen as being our primary path, that we do have a secondary redundant path that goes in a different direction. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Like I said, we're looking for a 3-year contract with Aspen. The total cost is a little under $4,000 a month with a $4,000 installation fee. And like I said, this path comes from a different way. If I heard Bob correct me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it goes west, comes back up through Grand Rapids and heads back. Brings them up around. Yeah, it's a completely different path coming through. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have on this contract, and there will be another contract coming to you as soon as we can get some negotiations done and get some pricing on that next feed as well too. One of the things that we're looking at with our current supplier is once we are done on June 12th with Skitter, we'll no longer be tied to having to use them for any of our services.
Are we under contract with MetroNet right now?
We are not. We're on a month-to-month contract right now. We'd give them the 30 days notice, which is just common practice, so they can get rid of all their equipment and take care of any of the processing information that they need.
We'll keep them as a secondary.
We'll keep them as a
find,
secondary until we have another secondary in place.
So is this a different hub or the same hub that MetroNet
They
connects to?
it'll be a different hub.
Completely different hub, okay. So if the hub goes down, at least we're covered either
Yeah.
way, okay.
Yes.
And to be clear, the line that went down that caused the outage for 3 days is not owned by the Board of Public Utilities.
It is not. No, this line is not owned by us at all. We are just a carrier that comes into the city. And we'll just go back to the electric model because I think we're all pretty familiar with that. The transmission lines come in from ITC, METC, and that's the same way that the internet does. It comes in and then hooks to our system, and then we distribute it from there.
Any additional questions?
No, something we need for sure.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract.
Thank you.
I second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Say nay. Motion is passed.
Thank you. And I do have one thing just as an informational thing as well too. And I know that this had come up during the outage itself is in regards to any bill credits. There is information in our rules, rates and regs that talk about how to handle bill credits. And one of the things that we want to make sure is that we're consistent because there's different sections in the rules, rates and reg that talk about if it's actually an internal issue that we caused and we could fix and we just haven't fixed over a certain period of time. But there's also sections in or about transmission type outages as well too. So more to come on that. We are looking at it. If there would be a bill credit, it would happen in July on the July bills. And right now we're looking at about $6 per active customer that was affected.
Well, MetroNet. There's nothing we don't get any refund from them for missing a few days.
No, there's nothing in the contracts when they were written to have any of that put together. I know in a previous life when we owned fiber, when I was in Illinois, there was a penalty after so many hours. It was like $1,000 a minute if you didn't get the fiber respliced. And unfortunately, there's nothing like that we have in that contract because it is just a content only.
So any public comment? She thought I was talking to her. Next is going to be the director's report. I will turn it over to utility director.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. So we'll start with our PCA. Our PCA for this month is 0.01015 and 0.01045 for secondary meters. Looking at Henry Hub pricing for natural gas, which we've discussed before, it's on the rise. It's at $3.70 to $4.50 per MMBTU. We talked before, it's been anywhere from $1.50 to $2, and it's slowly gaining there, and we're not quite sure yet. And we'll talk a little bit about that, and when we talk about the MISO auctions as well too. You've met our interns. We have Rhett Franklin, who is not here. He is from Texas and is our engineering intern. Chase Moore, who I think you guys have met before, and I believe Chase is the man behind the curtains today, running the show. He is our intern for the IT department. And Donna Henson-Bolin is an intern at Neighborhood Services, helping down in the appraiser's office. And then you guys have met Devin as well too. And I'm not going to go through their bios. You've seen some from Triumph, some from Alabama, and one from MSU. So welcome them all aboard. MISO auction results, we'll be doing more in-depth presentation next month. We're still trying to investigate and figure out what all the results mean. But just to give you some idea, so the average for Zone 7 closed at $6.61 per kilowatt month. And in the summer is $20.27 per kilowatt month. And in the winter, $1.01 per kilowatt month. Doesn't sound like anything to you, but these were last year's numbers. Last year's numbers, the average for the MISO auction was 61 cents. It was 91 cents in the summer and 2 cents in the winter. So there's a little bit of a cost differential there. So we're still trying to figure out what that actually means to what our rates are going to be going forward. And we would like to congratulate Andrew Cameron, who is a celebrity down in Columbus. He presented at the AMP Technical Services contract or conference. He did it on the substation relay panel upgrade, which was mentioned in his Bennett Street report. So congratulations to Andrew, and I'm sure he made us proud and answered lots of questions for the people being there. On May 13th, staff participated in Kids Consider Careers program for sixth graders in Branch County. It was very well received. Our BACC scholarship this year was given out to Tony Martinez. He was presented a check for $1,000 on May 9th at the ceremony. If you remember, Tony came in last month and did a presentation as an OJT student. And like McKenna, Tony is actually sticking on to be an intern as well too, to further gain that experience that he'll definitely use in the future. As we talk about mutual aid, we had 3 linemen and 1 apprentice were dispatched to Lansing. They had tornadoes roll through there as well too. They had 28 broken transmission poles and 39 distribution poles taken out. Lansing had over 70 assistants from tree trimmers to linemen, helping them with over 24,000 customers. There's about 25% of their total customer base. So we want to thank the linemen for their dedication to help Lansing get back up. And you see the quote there from Dick Peffley. It was one of the worst storms that he's ever seen since he's been in Lansing. If you're looking for something to do on Saturday, June 21st from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., Strawberry Fest will be going on downtown. We'll be having a booth there. There'll be vendors, food, all that other stuff. So please come on down and enjoy the festivities. Hops on Monroe will be kicking off on June 26th and will continue through August 28th. It'll be from 5 p.m. till 9 p.m. It's always a good time, always good food, always good music going on. And if any of the bands can't show up, we do have the newly installed sound system down on Monroe as well too, to give you some background and some ambience down on South Monroe. The corner farmers market is kicking off on June 28th. If the vegetables are ready, or if they're not, I'm sure there'll be something down there through September 13th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on 4 corners. And if you're looking at a way to give, we are holding our next blood drive on Tuesday, July 1st from 10 a.m. till 4 p.m. at Heritage Hall. And there are a couple of thank yous in the back, one from the city of Sturgis for our mutual aid work that we had done in April, as well as for the BACC for our work working with the kids and showing them what we do in the community. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Why is the natural gas pricing going up right now? Historically, it goes down during the summer.
Historically, it does. That's a good question because storage is where they're saying it's supposed to be. But it could be that they're looking at the expansion of LNG exports to Europe. LNG exports are normally a good driver of gas pricing. The other thing that we've been told, it has to do with the ability to ship it out, pipeline capacity and pipeline needs. So that's kind of what's driving up some of the pricing in the gas industry as well. The other thing too is oil prices are so low, it's cheaper just to pump out oil and not gas. It's kind of a weird relationship, the way that they have that.
Any other questions about the director's report? Okay, date of the next meeting?
Wednesday, July 2nd.
Everyone seem okay with that date as of now?
I'll be gone.
Next, we're going to move into a closed session pursuant to the section 8H of PA 267 of 1976 to consider information exempt from discussion by state or federal statute, that being MCL 15.2431G, to consider the city attorney's written legal opinion. Closed session pursuant to section 8H of PA 267 of 1976 to consider information exempt from state discussion, state or federal statute, that being MCL 462.833A1B, to discuss documents pertaining to the development, construction, financing, or leasing of a project. I need a motion to adjourn into closed session.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Support.
Got a motion support?
Roll call. President Stevens,
Yes.
Vice President Ohm,
Yes.
Member Mackin.
Yes.
Member Smoker.
Yes.
Okay, we are dismissed to closed session. There be there any questions for adjournment?
No.
See none? We're adjourned.
All right.